Mary Decker was queen of running, but people were pretty much into tennis at that time. And I was into tennis too, but tennis, you needed somebody to play with, and I needed to be able to work out on my own. And the longer I worked out on my own and the harder I worked out on my own, it turned out the faster I became. And I ended up getting involved with an entire team in Boulder, Colorado. I was the only woman outside of Mary Decker. And it was an amazing experience. It was an amazing, amazing experience. I had amazing running coaches, companions, friends, and I got great advice. And I ended up being able to run the Boston Marathon when I was 22 in a time that in 2 hours, 57 minutes in 1978, which would have won me an Olympic gold medal as a man. And I thought, well, okay, well, I'll just go to the Olympics. And everybody said, wait, you're not allowed. And I thought, well, why not? You know, I was always, why not? I was all about the John Kennedy, don't ask what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. So that was really embedded in my consciousness growing up. And I thought what I could do for my country was win a gold medal in a marathon, be the first woman ever to win a gold medal in a marathon. That just sounded like epic. And I didn't know what was going to happen. Nobody knew. And I was on my merry way. I was running all over the country in 50 below weather, in 100-degree weather, in all kinds of situations, in hotel rooms, in airports. And in those days, you could get on a plane. It was so easy, I swear. I traveled like, I was in 3 cities a day. I said I was like a presidential candidate. And I was well received, and I had a great time with the runners. I love them all. And we put on amazing events. Some of them had 5 people, some of them had 5,000. And in those days, 5,000 runners was a lot of runners. You gotta remember, it was just the beginning of the running boom, and I was a big part of it. And they didn't even have women's running shoes. I had to run in men's Nikes. They were in a garage in Oregon, and I was out there in Frank Shorter running gear clothes. And it was really exciting because I had been selected to be this head person, and I was a female, and I took it very seriously. And Pepsi gave me an amazing experience. And nobody knew these events were going to take off. I mean, we went from 1 race to like 300 races. Everybody wanted one. It was like it caught fire. They go, we want that girl, we want that girl, we want that girl. She needs to come here, she needs to come there. And Pepsi couldn't turn them down, so they would have to organize my schedule to be in 3, sometimes 4 cities a day, which, I was young, had a lot of energy. I still have a lot of energy, but I'm retired from that. So I'm sharing the story because today is a very special day, because I worked really hard to see this happen. And when it happened in Los Angeles in 1984, 41 years ago, and Joan Benoit came through that Olympic stadium, I cried. I was overjoyed. It transformed sport, it transformed women's sports, and it transformed the Olympics in that one race, and people don't give it enough credit. That was 2,000 years of history in the making in that one particular event. And I share that because there's very few places where women are going to get kudos of that magnitude. And because we are a very sports, I would say, obsessed culture, my theory is the greatest event is giving birth, that running a marathon is a warm-up, because most women are going to be in a delivery room for 20 or 30 hours, and that's pretty arduous, and a marathon can end, but it's still arduous. Don't kid yourself, especially if you run in a fast time. And leading up to this event, I became very close with a lot of the athletes because we were canceled in 1980, and then I started my business, Athletes, AthleTTES.com, the feminine version, because we were women, and we wanted to have our own event. And I'm so glad we've gotten rid of the transgender and all this other stuff. That's good. So here we are, America First, Golden Era, and today is America First, Golden Era. Without Joan Benoit, an American woman, well, I did Run America Run, and then she came. Okay, so I have to take a little bit of credit. I pushed her. She didn't want to do it. She didn't think she could do it. And I was like nagging her. I said, you have to win now, because I didn't spend 6 years of my life. We didn't get paid. The Olympic Committee gave you nothing. You had to work and train, so it was a very, very hard path. You had to be very disciplined. And, you know, I guess in the 80s, everybody was partying and running around. I didn't do any of that. I was training. I wanted to see history be made. I said, listen, if I'm going to do something with my life that's pretty out there, I can do it when I'm young and I have the energy, because I may not have the energy later. So I felt that God put me in this position. I felt God gave me this information. I had this information of what to do, but now my Olympics got canceled, so I gave that same information to JOAN BENOIT so she could beat the other people. Because if I had tried to compete against her, nobody would have won. I mean, the girl from Norway would have beat us. So I threw my support behind JOAN BENOIT because she was the closest person I could think of who could have the possibility of winning. And once I convinced her she could do it, she did do it. And therefore, we have this amazing, historic America First golden event in the United States. And I want to do some bragging. Women should brag a little bit. I know you men love to brag, but I do think women should get a little bragging on this day. JOAN BENOIT created 2,000 years of world history, women's history, and Olympic history in that one race. That's how significant that event was for the planet. And I hope people get that. But more than that, it was a symbol of women's courage and strength. And I felt if you could not be courageous in America, where else could you be courageous? So this is where we are. And I think my last podcast was about being a pioneer. We were pioneers in running, pioneers in sport, pioneers in the Olympics, and pioneers in winning the gold medal. So that's a lot of pioneering that Americans did to put running on the map and the Olympics in history for an American gold win. So I salute on this day JOAN BENOIT, who was courageous enough to take that challenge, even though she was not going to, and win this event, which took America and sports to an epic level. NBC got billions of dollars in Olympic rights. Nike got billions of dollars in shoe sales. ESPN was created. Women's sportscasters were created. A lot of things came from this one event because it changed the significance of the culture. Because in 1980, the Olympics was broke. The athletes were broke. We were all broke. Everything had to be flipped on its head because you can't have an Olympics without money. I mean, they were spending all this money on infrastructure. Well, infrastructure's lovely, but if the athletes don't have the time and the money to train, you're not going to have anybody show up. It's not even just about training. If you want to train to win, that's different. And we were being beaten by the Russians and the Germans and the Chinese because that was a whole cultural. They were funded by the government. We weren't funded by anybody. It was all on American grit. So to all the athletes who came before us and all the athletes who came after us, I know your struggles. It's still not easy. Getting to the Olympics is one thing, and winning, it's a whole nother epic climb. And it was an amazing event on this day. And as a result of this, Women's Sports Foundation made money. The Olympic Committee took in tons of money. I don't really know how they treat the athletes now. They should give them at least, a stipend. It shouldn't just be the first person that wins. I mean, you have a lot of great people out there training and competing in every sport. And we're talking about getting America into healthy again and not being fat. If you discourage people from even going and training, I think what you should do is pay people to be healthy. I think we need to reverse the way we seem to pay people to be sick in America. That's not a good way to go. We should pay people to be healthy. The healthier you are, maybe you get a stipend from the government for staying healthy, because our healthcare costs are off the chain. They're ridiculous, and that's another thing that's kind of drowning America. So for the future of this country, maybe we could look into that kind of encouragement. If you want a healthy culture, I mean, the Greeks had it correct. A sound mind in a sound body. Period. It's not a complicated world. Americans are all jacked up on the wrong things. Our minds are going, what do they call it? Monkey brain. Between the computer, the TV, the phone, too many distractions. And I think there's something to be said. When you train for the Olympics, you tune that out and you transcend, I would say. It's a transcendental experience. A lot, I would say, like giving birth, even though I've never had a baby. It's very transcendental. It will change you in a better way. To honor your body, honor your mind. You know, be a little bit more disciplined. I don't think that would kill people. I'm not saying you have to train for the Olympics, but I think people should get some kind of credit for staying in shape instead of going to the hospital because they can't, you know, that's a whole nother problem we're having between drugs and smoking and drinking and whatever else is going on. Clean it up. I think that'd be good. So that day when Joan Benoit made 2,000 years of history, I happened to be, okay, now the stadium in Los Angeles is 90,000 people. The seat that I had was 2 rows up from the finish line. I mean, what would the odds be? I mean, it was so miraculous, everything that happened. You say God's timing is perfect. And when she won, the security guard goes, go down on the field. I was the first person she hugged. It went all over the news. It was very exciting. I got to be there when she got her gold medal. I got to go to her wedding. I mean, it was the most epic moment because I had believed in this. And I got to see my dream come true. Even though it wasn't me, I got to see it come true. I felt like it was me. I'll be honest with you. I felt like my soul, you know, was like, you got to do this because it's not about just me. It's about womankind and what we're capable of. So, and then of course we keep having this discussion now with transgender and women in sports. And, you know, women are capable of great things. They should have their own sports, their own medals, their own events. I'm so glad we're getting that taken care of, and I thank Riley Gaines for speaking out about that issue. It shouldn't even be brought up. But the reason I'm bringing it up today is because I do think it's a moment to reflect on something that happened on this planet, which created a lot of money and a lot of opportunities for many, many, many other athletes, men and women, that came after her win. And also, I'll say Carl Lewis. The Olympics in Los Angeles in 1984 won a lot of gold medals. The Americans, the American team changed. That Olympics in 1984 changed the face of sports. Every American that won a gold medal there changed the way we look at the Olympics, sports, television coverage. You know, now the Olympics has their own channel and, you know, everybody's going to monetize this thing. I would like to see the athletes get a few dollars. That's my greatest wish. The Olympic Committee's lovely, but, you know, they should also chip in a little to all the people that won gold medals. I'm going to make that suggestion. And I also think Nike should be giving more money to the women runners. Without the runners, they wouldn't even have a company. Running started Nike. It's not hockey. It's not golf. It's not football. Runners, men and women runners. Steve Prefontaine, Kenny Moore, Frank Shorter, Joan, Mary Decker, me, Joan Benoit. We started Nike. Nobody ever heard of Nike. If you put on 300 races and get millions of people into a sport, I think you're starting a company. But we didn't know that at the time. We didn't know how popular everything was going to become. And we didn't know how everybody was going to capitalize on it. I mean, the New York City Marathon, I had to listen to Peter Diamond yelling and screaming. I said, you're going to have 26 cameras and you're going to have 2 world records in the New York City Marathon. That year, Allison Rowe and Alberto Salazar set a world record. The TV ratings went through the roof. Peter Diamond got a major job at ABC. I didn't even get a thank you. I coached him through the whole thing. I said, they're going to set 2 world records because I already knew these people. I knew what they were going to do. Bill Rogers, Patty Catalano. You know, we had Bill Rogers, amazing, amazing, amazing man. The Boston Marathon, him and his family. God bless these people, what they went through to put these events on. And Bill won so many events. What a blessing. I got to travel all over the country with Bill Rogers. We were the 2 spokespeople for Pepsi. He was faster, but, you know, we were born 3 days apart. So we were like Mutt and Jeff running around with timing clocks and race numbers. I mean, nobody was there. No, we didn't have cameras. We didn't have phones. We just were out there doing these things. People think nothing happened before the internet. A lot happened. So I'm sharing it with you young people and who's ever listening. A lot happened, a lot of great people. I got to meet people of all ages. I got to meet 86-year-old people who ran marathons and young people. I got to meet America, real Americans, good people. And it was a blessing and an amazing event, an amazing time in life, an amazing time in American history. And I want you to realize that. We have a lot of spirit in America. I'd like to see it come back because, you know, we've been through a lot. I'm a native New Yorker. You know, of course, after 9/11, a lot of things changed. But, you know, this was in that era, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. I mean, things were very different. We had a lot of freedom. And we were pioneers. And I want to congratulate the American athletes, men and women, because they have to go through a lot to get to the Olympic Games. I don't think people really understand what goes on behind the scenes. Everybody wants to win a gold medal, but nobody knows what goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot that goes on. Trust me. Politics, money, TV, ratings, all that stuff that you don't want to know about. Lawyers, this and that. I mean, you're busy training. You know, and there's some good coaches and there's some horrible coaches. And unfortunately, there hasn't been a lot of conversation. I mean, I know the gymnasts had to deal with this. I mean, it goes on in different places. But, you know, I think for the most part, people are out there trying to do their best with what they're given. There's not a lot of guidance and there's not a lot of help. And there's probably not a lot of even good coaching. Because coaches don't really make any money. I can tell you that right now. So you don't really make any money as a coach. But I had a public relations background and a marketing degree. So I got to market running, promote running, and run in my races. So I had a very interesting position. And I got to make Diet Pepsi #1 in my Run America Run program. So I hope you'll take a moment to reflect on this amazing day. What's a vision you had for yourself? I wanted to see something amazing happen in my lifetime. That was amazing. And it was very uplifting. And it was very inspirational to be a part of this. And I hope you'll find some inspiration in other people's stories, men and women, that give you a little push today to try a little harder, be a little better, and reach for something that seems beyond your reach. But really, nothing is impossible with God. So reach. Have a great day.